It's my job to welcome everybody. It's just so fantastic to see friends and colleagues from all around the world today, and faces and people that I've not seen for a while. You're all so welcome, and we're so pleased that you're here with us. Since this is our first ever online event, we wanted to start with a short introduction to people in mining and give opportunity for some of our team to introduce themselves to you. So many of you won't know me. I'm Deborah. I'm a politics lecturer at the University of Exeter. My connection with people in mining as a discussion group began when Francis Wall set it up as a sort of informal discussion group amongst colleagues on the campus, and Kate Smith was facilitating and organising it then. And in the time since COVID, when we've not been able to meet up, we've been dreaming ways to continue the conversation. So I'm just so pleased to that we've managed to get that off the ground. And it's been brilliant, the support we've already got for the network from lots of you. We're trying to keep it simple at the moment, because we really want to sort of shape and grow the network in a way that reflects the ideas and the interests and the priorities of everybody else who's getting involved. And we're really hoping to hear lots of your ideas today. So if you've not already, you can subscribe to the group. I'm just going to share my video, which I don't think I'm doing so far. Here we go. I'm going to just show you guys a couple of links on this first screen. So you are able to subscribe via the Eventbrite group. But the other exciting announcement, obviously, that we've got is that very soon we're going to launch the website next week, and you'll then be able to subscribe to that. I've got my daughter knocking on the door. We're going to have a short session later in the schedule today where we're asking you guys to brainstorm and share your ideas about how we run people in mining in the future. So there's a small QR. No. Okay, it's upstairs. Okay, Dan?
That's mine.
It's upstairs. I've got her notebook. This is just a brilliant way to start, isn't it? I'm going to pass to Penda, who's going to introduce the group. But there are a couple of links on the page. One moment. There's a couple of links on the page. There's the email for our team. We've got a Twitter account, and the website is coming soon. There's also a QR code there, which if you'd like to open now, will help you to follow along with the interactive discussion that we're going to have later in the session. So you will see me and quite possibly Olive again very soon. I'm going to pass to Penda now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deborah, and welcome, Olive, for joining us this morning. So it's really wonderful to have you all here, and welcome again to the People and Mining Network. So on this slide, you can see who have been working really hard the past few months to plan, create, and organize the People and Mining event today. So we will also have a short introductory video on the website for anyone who wants to learn more and a little bit more about the People and Mining Network. We are a diverse group. We are a diverse group which are drawn from the University of Exeter's Kamlongera School of Mines and the Politics Department, and also the Development Organization Pact. People and Mining began as an in-person seminar series, which have been organized by Francis Wall, who you will hear from later on, and Kate Smith as well. So more recently, the work to launch the network has been funded by the University of Exeter's College of Social Science and International Studies. We are grateful for their support to get this network off the ground. And we see People in Mining as a collaborative platform, and moving forward, we hope for a lot more people and organizations to be part of the People and Mining Network. So this is really an opportunity which we hope will create a space for more people to collaborate. And so we'll have the next slide, please, which will just show you an event overview. So as you can see on this slide, you have the overview for the day. We'll have a session with guest speakers and Q&As, a break, and an interactive discussion. And at the end, the launch this morning will end with a panel discussion. So it is great to see you all and to see all your faces. Since there is a large audience, it is likely to help it's likely to help the quality of the call if we keep our cameras off unless we are speaking. And please mute yourself to also prevent disturbances. So the People and Mining website is intended to function in part as a library of ideas. As such, please be aware that today we will record talks and upload them to the website. We also want the seminar to be a place for honest and open discussion. So we want this to be a safe space where people can share their ideas, their opinions, and engage each other openly. And therefore will not record the event nor make references to any ideas that emerge from discussions to particular people or topics. Our team will write up a review of the event for the website, which follows these principles of open and honest collaboration, but a safe space as well. So I'll now pass on to Kate.
Hello, I'm Kate Smith, and I'd like to talk through our values and aims as the People and Mining Network. So importantly, as Penda mentioned briefly, diversity and inclusivity are really important to our group. We want this to be a space where diverse people and ideas are welcomed, ensuring all are included in the debate. And as part of that, to ensure all are included in the debate, it's important that we're also non-hierarchical. So we want to seek participation from people of all backgrounds and all career stages. And of course, as I'm sure you would value too, we must be respectful to each other. So diverse voices in our conversations can highlight different ideas, opinions, or agendas, and that can help foster collaboration and new ideas. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So, to be able to, we hope that People in Mining is going to be really useful for developing new ideas, exchanging knowledge and collaborating well. And exchanging knowledge, so and broadening perspectives and challenging ourselves and others, inviting different opinions and experiences, and recognizing that paradox and ambiguity exist in complex issues. And we welcome critical academic ideas as well as pragmatic solution-focused discussion. And the diversity of our group about this should allow us to exchange quite different knowledges between, we have here already geologists, miners, engineers, people working in development organizations, social scientists, group already on this call. And that should help us develop ideas. We would like to use the website and regular online seminars as an opportunity to create space and do justice to these puzzles and problems that will arise. And that should help us to bring together diverse voices and experiences. Through that, we intend to actively seek ways to work together and synergy. So this is all about bringing together people from many different backgrounds with lots of different ideas to tackle some of the key issues in people and mining. And I think I'm going to hand over now to James.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Kate, and also Penda and Deborah there for that fantastic overview and introduction. And welcome again to everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name's James McQuilkin, and I'm a program officer at PACT within the Mines to Markets program. And yes, totally agree with all the sentiments there from Kate. I would put myself in the social science bracket there, just as a background. So before we jump into our first session, where we have two fantastic expert speakers who are going to provide a bit more of their own views and perspectives on people and mining, and kind of get our ideas going. Just some quick dates for your diaries here on the screen. So as we said, this is really the introductory people and mining event or webinar, and the aim of the session is to share some initial ideas, but also get your feedback to help shape the group. But these two next ones are our upcoming seminars. We're aiming to have them every 2 months, and rather than having like a regular time that we will meet, we aim to kind of vary the day and the time a bit, in the hope that it will enable people from different parts of the world to actually participate, but like I said, ensuring that it's every 2 months. And the themes of these two upcoming sessions are yet to be decided. I think hopefully some of the themes that come out of the discussions today we're hoping will shape that. But there's lots of space in today's discussions to do that. And if you would like to present or be part more integrally to the discussions in future, just please send us an email on that email address below with further ideas. And if you have other ideas in the future where you yourself would like to take charge of an entire session, then again, we're very open to that. And yes, thank you, Alana there. Yes, these are British time zone at the moment, British summer time. So 1 to 2:30 and 9 a.m. till 10:30. But off the back of this, we'll send out, a save the date placeholder for your calendars as well. So hopefully that will all tee up in terms of the actual times within your calendars. So yeah, we look forward to obviously having you today and also in the future. So I think now we can jump to the next slide, and we'll turn to our first session here with, like I said, 2 fantastic guest speakers to help share some of their perspectives on people and mining and what it means. So we've asked each speaker to speak for approximately 10 minutes, with Francis going first, followed by Paul. And then after which we will open to a question and answer session. So as we go along, please do put your questions and also comments in the chat, and I'll be sure to ask them. And also, happy to also open for you to share your camera and also come on the microphone and ask your question and comment and kind of make it more of an interactive discussion. This particular session, we have about an hour, so we aim to close at 11:15, where we'll have a break afterwards. So yeah, without further ado, really, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Professor Francis Wolf. So Francis is Professor of Applied Mineralogy at Camborne School of Mines, University of Exeter. And Francis has started a degree in geochemistry, but since joining the Camborne School of Mines back in 2007, she says she's been unable really to avoid the importance of people in mining, and is now taking part, as many of you know, in interdisciplinary research that covers the circular economy, mining governance, and also the social license to operate, as well as geology and mineralogy. So really covering everything there from social science all the way down to the nitty-gritty hard science of rocks and geology and mineralogy. So really pleased to have Francis here on board with us. So yeah, Francis has a couple of slides, I believe. So over to her now to share your screen, and please take it away. I will, once we're approaching the 10 minutes, I'll let you know if needed. But yeah, very much looking forward to it. Fantastic. We can see your slides. So please take it away. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, James, for that very nice introduction, and thank you for inviting me to speak. And it's fantastic to see all the work that you've been done. I've seen all the little meeting things ping through into my inbox, and I'd like to say, everybody, I've done nothing, and everybody's worked really hard. It's a people and mining group up and running, so it's really nice to be here today. And so, yes, I thought I would take this topic then for my 10 minutes, and I have done the lecturer thing. I couldn't resist in the end. I told James I'd have a couple of slides, and I've got exactly 10, James, so let's see if I get through in the time. And my title is People and Mining and Technical Projects. And so this is very much, I think, my perspective. I thought might be interesting is this is why am I coming to people and mining? And I'm quite sure I started my career and chose to be a geochemist and do applied mineralogy and geology, precisely to avoid people, if I might say so, because I looked at careers like medicine and stuff, and I really like the science, without the people they're in the way. And here are some lovely pictures of the mineral pyrochlore, which is the ore of niobium. And this is from a place in the eastern side of DRC in Kivu province. Some people here will know that place very well. And here we've got some beautiful weathering pyrochlore slurping back up cerium again into the edge. And this is the kind of thing that I was going out there to study. But as soon as you get out there into the real world, maybe doing quite academic work or applied mineralogy like this, then immediately you come in contact with people, of course, on the site. And we were told, so the first way in which we were advised to interact with people was to actually be very careful about raising expectations. And I would say this is my personal experience. Wasn't about dealing with people with placards not wanting mining to be there, but actually dealing with people who are so excited as soon as any geologist appears in their area about whether there might be the riches, if you like, the jobs that come with a mine. And so having to be careful was here in Kivu province in eastern DRC, but also in northern Finland, where we were on a project that had nearly come to fruition as a mine before and then not worked. And so actually managing expectations. And the message, I think, from this is that then people are utterly unavoidable. So there we are, just like James said, as soon as you move into mining and the applied side of geology, I think that you have to really think about how you're interacting with people at large. And I'll come back to that just at the end about who those people are, because this is such a huge topic, isn't it? And even at that exploration stage, what you do can be really important, and what a company does, moreover, can be really important. And so even if you're in and out in just a year or two with an exploration project, then I think you need to make sure that you leave some kind of positive legacy, even if it's only knowledge. And here's this pretty picture I show all the time, which Alex will recognize immediately, is from Songwe Hill, where the Makango project put in water wells, brought in kind of and put in water wells for the local people as soon as they started exploring. So positive legacy is really important. But alongside technical projects, and so most of the projects I've done have not been starting with a social science design, apart from maybe Reski's PhD, but mostly they're technical projects. And I would say when they come from our UK Research and Innovation Organisation, they've had for many years now pathways to impact always goes like tags on the end of the project. You have to think of some way to reach people, and that could be the wider public. And here's an example of some outreach with playing cards to introduce people to technology metals. And that would be the norm in most projects. But when you come into European Union projects, then I think for the last 10 years or more, post doing the first work out there in DRC, but certainly the Framework 7, Horizons 2020, and now Horizons Europe, you always find these socioeconomic phrases and requirements embedded in the call. And this is a call text that's open any minute now. So this is what I was looking at with colleagues yesterday. And this is a technical project. It's all about big data and artificial intelligence. But I've plucked out that paragraph at the bottom. So when we write that proposal, we will not get funded, we will not get high enough marks unless we do something about the awareness of relevant external stakeholders and the general public across the EU about the importance of raw materials to society and improving society's acceptance of and trust in sustainable raw materials. And so this is a really important point then about, I would say, the European Union technical projects. They realized quite a long time ago that society at large had forgotten what we do in Europe about raw materials, and that many societies were rather anti-mining these days. And so they're asking all the projects to put things in. And sometimes I think that brings a bit of a hodgepodge of people doing similar things on projects, and hopefully sometimes we join up together. But that will be something to think about how these work best. And sometimes it might be, again, outreach. So we were trying to reach professionals, not just the public, on this with our MOOC, our Technology Metals MOOC, which Kate Smith was very much involved in for us. So this is from the High Tech Alcar project. But also, of course, we have more embedded research. And this is the point, isn't it? So it may be a technical project anywhere along that mining value chain, finding mining, processing, element refining on the end there. We have to think when we're designing that right from the start, how to put environmental and social responsibility right into the heart of that project. And I would say that's easier on some projects than others. And it's much easier for environment would be a message than it is for the people. side of things. So when I do a talk about responsible sourcing, I often put this slide in, and it's showing how we as geologists can think about the fundamental things that we're thinking about on the deposit, which is straightforward geology, and then taking it through geometallurgy to how it's going to perform when it's mined and when it goes on the spoil tips. A lot of that comes into that environmental performance especially, and it just starts to overlap with the social performance as well. So I think when we're thinking about people, it's much harder to integrate that into the final technical findings. So when we did our geomodels on high-tech Alcarb, you'll see things about the deposits in there that actually will have a knock-on straight to the environmental aspects, and a very subtle knock-on actually to the people aspects. But you have to understand that quite well to see the people point of it. And so I think that's always a challenge when we're putting in these work packages to technical projects, whether we have like an isolated work package going off somewhere in Europe and looking at social license to operate, or whether we can really put our technical work straight in amongst the project. And I see we've got some colleagues from the Green Peg project here today, so we can think about that. I think we're quite well integrated there, because we have to go to all our partners who are really doing things out in the field and exploring and sorting out the characteristics of what they're doing. But it'd be interesting to see how well we can get the social aspects into our findings about the environmental impacts of exploration techniques in that project case. So can we put the social side in as well as we can the environmental side? And just to finish off then, a lot of the people here, people in mining, are thinking about small scale mining. And I just wanted to say something about that and this fair trade badge that we all take for granted when we buy coffee and bananas. And really, when you buy that in the supermarket, you've got this feel good factor that you're reaching right back through that supply chain and helping the farmers who are growing the bananas or coffee or whatever it is. But that's easy with coffee and bananas, isn't it? Because it's a very short supply chain. But what happens when I'm always doing technology metals, so things like rare earths or niobium? We saw the pyrochlore at the beginning and things. And these are huge, long supply chains. And so to finish off then, let me just show you this picture. And first of all, people in mining then. So of course, people work on mines. So right in the green bit in the middle then, that's the heart of it, isn't it? It's absolutely important that we understand what's going on there, whether it's health and safety and well-being and salaries and all the working conditions and et cetera, of the people on the mines. But then look at people in mining, all the people around there. And I did this diagram as stakeholders. So there's the public who live near the mines, all the people who expect to work and supply to mines, all the governance side of people in mining, and then all the ESG with the banks and the shareholders and all the people who are financing and making money from mines. So a huge amount of stuff on that. But the latest technical project that I'm involved in is a circular economy in technology metals. And that's really nice because that brings us all along the value chain there. So in a second view of sustainability. And of course, metals are super sustainable raw materials. They'll go on forever if we look after them. So after we've mined them, that's what we need, is the materials stewardship to do that. And in that Metfotech circular economy project, all the way through that value chain, we've tried to embed social science in there with our social science colleagues to really think about responsible innovation and how we're going to do these things and to make sure that we get the right outcomes, not the wrong ones, from our technical research. And a really important point is, even on these long value chains, just a few people, I put their consumer access looking arrow on the right-hand side, a few people pick up when things are going wrong, like the very high profile issues in cobalt. Maybe people like Amnesty International are raising it, and then people start to shout. And when they shout loud enough, they can reach all the way back through that value chain. But that's when people become really important, isn't it? Because it's people issues like child labor, like conflict minerals, that actually raise the flag when things are going wrong. They're not complaining that the pollution on a small scale mine in DRC is slightly higher above legal limits than it should be. It's people issues that really catch people's imagination. So I don't think we can overestimate, and we definitely can't avoid. And it's fantastic that we've got this initiative all about people and mining. Thanks very much, James.
Thank you so much, Francis. They're really enjoyable and lots of food for thought. Personally, this last slide for me is really interesting, that, you know, visualizing that production network, that supply chain, the different dimensions, and how people across and in different ways are absolutely integral. So thank you very much. And already actually we've got a few comments and questions in the chat, so maybe as we queue up our next speaker, you can have a look through and see if there's any you would like to speak to. I think there's a good one in there saying that people are unavoidable in science too, and that we are a scientist people, and I think that's a good point.
Yeah, very good point. Yes,
and also around kind of trust and things like this in terms of the next, in terms of engaging with communities in some of those issues you discussed. So thank you very much, Francis. So Paul, I'd like to invite you now to share your video, and I think whilst I queue up Paul to give our next kind of 10-minute presentation, you have some slides also, so maybe Deborah, you can make sure Paul is a co-host, so he should be able to share your screen if you do have slides, Paul. And then meanwhile, I will introduce you. So yeah, thanks again, Paul, for joining us. Paul's full name, Dr. Paul Kamlongera. Paul is an adjunct lecturer at Lilongwe University of Agriculture and Natural Resources, and he's also a lecturer at the African Bible College, both of which are in Malawi, where I believe you're joining us from today. His research focuses on mining and development in sub-Saharan Africa, and particularly artisanal and small-scale mining, and also those linkages there between small-scale mining and smallholder farming, which are really important, as we know, in many rural communities across the world. Paul is also an expert consultant for a range of international organizations, and I know most recently that's included the World Bank as part of the Delve initiative, which is supported by PAC, where he's looked with a team of people at the impact of COVID-19. And also, I know, Paul, that you've been working on some research at the University of Surrey, again, looking at mining and farming linkages. So yeah, thank you very much, Paul, again for joining us. We can see your screen, so you can hit slideshow and overview for the next 10 minutes, which will bring us to about 10:40. But again, if needed, I will flag if we're running over. Fantastic. And again, please put your questions in the chat as we go along. So over to you, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James, and thanks for allowing me to be part of this initial presentation for the launch of Mining and People. I was excited when I was asked to be presenting, but upon looking at mining and people, I found that maybe my experience with the COVID research on the impact of COVID-19 on mining would help to frame what I was going to say. So I would draw from my experience with the research, which was Malawi was one of the countries under the Delve project on COVID-19, impact of COVID-19 on small-scale mining communities. So I was privileged to be the country researcher for that project. And so I will be drawing from that a bit. But it's an open secret to say COVID remains a challenge. It continues to put pressure on people and mining in various countries across the globe, and Malawi included. And so when I was thinking about this, I saw that artisanal and small-scale mining is at the core of people and mining. It's a mining issue, but also more so a livelihood issue. Yes, there's been, for a long time, there was maybe a misplaced focus on only the negative aspects of small-scale mining, but there's been a balanced approach, if I may say, in more recent years, where we've also been looking at the poverty aspects, the livelihood aspects of the activity. And so during COVID-19, there's been a struggle for many across the globe, but more so in Malawi, especially a country that is new to mining. However, as much as I say new to mining, Malawi has been involved in small-scale mining for a long time. In fact, the sector that's renowned in Malawi is the small-scale mining sector. And so there's been a lot of small-scale mining activities that are carried out illegally, unlicensed, but the government is trying to get those to be licensed as well. So in the research under the DELF project, it focused on 2 mining communities that we selected, Toza mining community in Zimba district in northern Malawi, and the Matapila area in Lilongwe district. And the minerals mined there were aquamarine and rhodolite in Zimba, aquamarine and rhodolite in Lilongwe. At the time we were doing this study, COVID had been, we had fewer cases at the time. COVID had just been, had just started affecting many in Malawi, but in the mining communities, they hadn't yet experienced any cases of COVID. So even going to the mining sites, talking to the people, they seemed not to really care as much about COVID. But at the time we went to do this study, measures to contain COVID were introduced. They had been introduced in March 2020, and among them were the usual, that is introduced everywhere, restrictions on movement of goods and people, closing of borders to individuals and people, and restrictions on gathering of individuals. There was a lockdown that was introduced, but later some people challenged in court, so they just tend to at least some other restrictions rather than a total lockdown. And the measures kept being continually updated. So going to the mines, there was a little knowledge about COVID, both in both sites that we targeted. 70% of the interviewees indicated no knowledge about COVID-19. And even those that said they were following the measures were pretty much talking about washing hands, and they had heard about social distancing, but they were open about not following it through. They had no masks until later when the things escalated, but there were still few people that were putting on masks, maybe because some people had gone and donated a few. But the major problem was with the mining aspect. So knowing that small-scale mining is a livelihood issue, we were interested in understanding how it had affected their livelihoods. And some of the findings showed that the major challenge was markets. Markets had been disrupted. The supply chain was affected in both mining sites. The absence of buyers was a big challenge because it meant their minerals were not being bought, and people were hugely affected with that. Some suspended their mining activities because they didn't know what to do, since this was their main source of income. Agriculture is the dominant activity in Malawi, but in areas where there are mining activities taking place, they tend to rely more on mining for the income, even reinvesting the income into agriculture, buying fertilizers and other issues. Also, some have gone into mining. They say that's the main thing. So they rely on mining to buy food. And having no markets, that's really a big challenge for them. Income loss was cited as actually the leading cause of food insecurity. When we talked to them, they said they indicated that reduced income was the major challenge that they faced. And as if that was not enough, food price inflation was also another aspect. So traders were increasing the prices of food, and people have no money. They were feeling very stranded and didn't know what to do. The little activities that they would tend to were not paying much as well. So some households increasingly started adopting negative coping strategies, reducing meal times, maybe 1 meal a day. Some of them were still trying to see what they can do to get things going. So during that time, because of the scarcity of buyers, some innovative approaches emerged. One of them was the innovation using technology to market stones. Most of the mining areas are remote, and a majority of the miners don't have phones. There's no electricity in the areas that we're looking at. And so people have to go some distance to get a phone charged and maybe access WhatsApp. Phones are cheaper these days, at least people can get them, but then it's the places to charge and stuff that is. So with the introduction of the technology use, WhatsApp platform, there's during that time, V2Gem introduced using WhatsApp, and initially people were skeptical. They were not sure about how whether they can be selling their minerals to somebody they've not seen in person. People are used to meeting people in person. And so when the V2Gem came and linked up with mining associations and cooperatives, still some people that were working independently or individually were feeling like they were left out. But eventually, these were also approached to say they can be selling to through this platform, and encouraged as well to legalize, formalize their activities as well, for them to be also paying royalties through this. So this became one of the innovative ways, and it's brought the thinking to say it's important to look at ways that can last even beyond COVID, or even if it keeps going, what is a measure that you can actually rely on. And for many people, they were saying some of them would have to travel normally, but because of this was a newly introduced aspect that they never explored before. They felt like it was saving them much more. And in those communities as well, some people started exploring partnerships with foreign dealers, bigger companies for some. For example, in Mzimba, there's a lady there who partnered with a South African dealer who sends her money, and then she can buy from the local. So people are now finding a place where they can sell their minerals. If such would be replicated in many places, because when it's just one person doing it, it doesn't have the competition as well. So people still struggle because they look at the prices that they get in some of these are not really realistic or general and fair. So turning to alternative means of earning where possible was also another aspect that people were looking to adapt during the difficult COVID crisis. And with the scarcity of buyers, it was whoever comes, names a price, will buy. Minerals that were selling maybe previously at 40,000 would be bought for maybe 4,000 times, 1,000 Malaikwacha. And people were really feeling it tough because they were used to making a bit more, and all of a sudden things just drastically diminished. So that was a challenge. But there were also other people that were continuing to mine despite the scarcity of buyers. They say this is our livelihood, this is what we depend on. So we would rather continue mining with the hope that maybe when the buyers come, they'll find our minerals in bulk and we'll still make money. Or no, maybe any day they might come and we might be selling. So instead of looking for other activities, they were still focusing on ASM, which indeed makes it the priority activity that we should talk about when we are talking about people and mining. So basing on all this, we see that small-scale mining ought to be taken along and discussed in any discussion about people and mining. So there is need to create a long-term and sustainable ASM formalization strategies. And I think in going that route, it would be good to bring the stakeholders to the table and maybe regular dialogue between government and stakeholders at all levels will help to move things forward, because they will be able to draw from each other, draw from research, draw from the experiences of the miners, and moving on forward. Also encouraging cooperative formation, which is what the government in Malawi has been doing. But I think the problem is it's an idea that is initiated outside the community. The community is told you must form a cooperative, and then nothing beyond that. Once they form it, they say, yeah, you are licensed as a cooperative. They are not having markets available. So it's still something that ought to be thought through to make this way. And then strengthening capacity of domestic financial institutions is key as well. So that maybe the challenge was financing. Most of the people talked about financing when asked, so how we revive your activities? They said financing first and then technology. So those things would be things that would be done if there are concerted efforts, and partnerships would help to make sure that people come together, and those who can provide the required service can do so and promote the people's livelihood, and thereby promoting mining. So I believe that stakeholder networking, collaboration, and effective coordination is key to maximizing the potential SM holds for local development. That's a discussion that can keep going and give inputs as well. I think my time is up. So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. Some really fantastic insights there from, directly from artisanal mining communities in Malawi. So thank you very much. I think, really interesting stuff around WhatsApp as well, and some of those innovations. So hopefully we can now dig in a bit deep into some of those questions and have a discussion. So I'd like to invite Francis to come back and join us here, and I'll start running through some of the questions in the chat, and also some of the ones that have come to my mind. And again, please put your questions in the chat here, or if you'd like to have your actually ask directly